Alright, so in this video, you will see what is the top 10 best starter mythic units in this update 13.5 in Anime Adventures. Every units in this video are all obtainable and not from trading. Comment down below what you think is the top 10 beginner units in this update 13.5, and with that being said, in no particular order, the first must-have unit for beginners is Okura Resurrection. You must have Okura Resurrection if you are a beginner, as he is incredibly strong. Especially, he will still be useful in maps that increases magic and dark damage, as he has two damage types, magic and dark. Okura Resurrection stats a max upgrade and max level are 40,203.36 damage with his SPA at 7 seconds, making his damage per second at 5,743.34. Okura will be the easiest unit to evolve compared to everyone in this list, especially on how strong Okura is. With starters, having Okura Resurrection will help you progress through your story mode acts. Not only he is strong for starters, he is even overpowered unit as he is a multi-hit at later upgrades, which he will be good against shield enemies. Okura Resurrection costs 62,500 yen to fully upgrade. Yippee! Okay, next unit is Mashimasu. Mash is one of the new units added in this update 13.5, and he's one of the most overpowered ground units for beginners to have in this update 13.5. Mashimasu's stats a max upgrade and max level are 94,579 damage with his SPA at 5.9 seconds, making his damage per second at 16,030.33, which is incredibly strong as he is a 4 placement, making his group damage per second insanely good. Mashimasu's at placement is a 2 hit, making him good against shield enemies. You can get Mashimasu through the Magic Hunt Battle Pass on the tier 50 in this update 13.5. Alright, next unit is Madoka Salvation. Madoka is one of the newest units added in this update 13.5, and she is one of the best heal unit with how incredibly overpowered she is at placement. Especially, you can place 4 Madoka and she is the second highest range in terms of heal and hybrid units. Madoka's stats a max upgrade and max level are 88,543.11 damage with her SPA at 6.5 seconds, making Madoka's damage per second at 13,622.02. Remember, having Madoka Salvation in your team will be insanely strong, especially when you are doing Madoka portals, because the Madoka units will deal 50% more damage, which having Madoka Salvation as your heal unit for Madoka portals will be the best heal unit to bring into your loadout. It is easy to get Madoka Salvation, especially you can get yourself 250 grief seeds every day, which every 4 days you'll be able to get 1000 grief seeds and summon for Mythic Pity. The best traits you can have on Madoka Salvation is Divine, because you can place 4 of her, and her power types are Magic and Light. Okay, next one is Gojo 6 Eyes. Gojo has an ability called Unlimited Void at placement that you can manually use, and when activated, both ground and air enemies will be frozen for 8.5 seconds, which is insanely strong, especially it makes Gojo's damage twice more. Gojo 6 Eyes stats upgrade 9 and max level are 48,321.34 damage with his SPA at 6 seconds, making his damage per second at 8,053.56, which is insanely strong for a support unit. You will be needing 6 Rikugan Eyes, which can be dropped from Mahoti, Bogo, and Hanamo at the Jujutsu Kaisen Infinite map. The drop rate of the Rikugan Eyes is 10%, and you'll be able to have 6 Rikugan Eyes in 1 day if you play for 24 hours, and you can infinitely upgrade his Limitless with Rikugan Eyes and 6 Eyes. Gojo's damage type is Magic. Alright, next unit is Mami Holy. Mami is one of the new units added in this update 13.5, with her being one of the best units added in this update 13.5. As at later upgrades, she will be able to hit both air and ground enemies. Mami Holy stats a max upgrade and max level are 193,285 damage with her SPA at 9 seconds, making her damage per second at 21,476.15, which is insanely strong. Especially, she has a large AoE circle, which she will be able to attack more enemies than the others, and with her being a multi-hit at later upgrades, making Mami strong against shield enemies. It is easy to get Mami Holy, especially you can get yourself 250 grief seeds every day, which every 4 days you'll be able to get 1k grief seeds and summon for Mythic Pity. Mami Holy's damage types are Magic and Light. Okay, next unit is Pucci Heaven. Pucci Heaven is still one of the most overpowered unit for beginners to have. Before getting Pucci Heaven though, I remind you to get units mentioned in this video before getting Pucci Heaven stats at max upgrade and max level are 49,064 damage with his SPA at 3.4 seconds, making his damage per second at 14,430.58, which is one of the best units for beginners to have. This unit can be both used as a support or damage dealer, especially he have this ability at upgrade 9 called Time Acceleration. When activated, his SPA and his allies' SPA cooldown will be lowered by 50% and this will last for 30 seconds. Pucci Heaven's power type is magic. Alright, next unit is Charmy Sheep. Charmy is one of the newest units added in this update 13.5 and she is one of the most overpowered slow supports you can have in this update 13.5. Charmy stats on max upgrade and max level are 55,251 damage with her SPA at 7.3 seconds, making her damage per second at 7,568.63, which is decent. After all, she's a slow support unit. You wouldn't mainly make Charmy Sheep your main damage per second unless you are trolling. You can get Charmy Sheep through the Magicom Battle Pass on the tier 25 in this update 13.5. Her AoE is an AoE circle, which may not be the best for a slowing unit, although she is pretty easy to get as she is technically a free unit that you have to grind for through the Magicom Battle Pass, and it will also give you a good cosmetic. Okay, next unit is Tsukuno. He is one of the best bleeding unit in this update 13.5, and especially he is meta for leaderboard runs since he has an ability called Dismembered, where he applies nerfs to enemies and gives a permanent 20% more physical damage done to that enemy. Tsukuno's stats at max level and max upgrade are 89,739.63 damage plus 22,425.93 bleeding damage over 3 ticks with his SPA at 10 seconds, making his damage per second at 8,973.96, which this does not include the bleeding damage he does. Bleeding units are incredibly overpowered against regen enemies as the regen enemies won't be able to regenerate whenever they are bleeding. Tsukuno costs 62,500 yen to fully upgrade and his damage type are physical. Alright, next unit is Laron. Law is one of the best units to bring in Infinity Castle, not only because his ability but how surprisingly cheap he is to max upgrade, which he will be useful in Infinity Castle, leaderboard runs, and many more in this update 13.5. Laron's stats on max upgrade and max level are 150,141 damage with his SPA at 5.9 seconds, making his damage per second at 25,447.62, which is incredibly overpowered for a support unit as he has insane ability at placement called Shambles, where when activated the enemies will be teleported back, which is insanely strong, and he is a better Lulu Gias. And that means Laron will be valuable in Infinity Castle and leaderboard runs with his Shamble ability. The Shamble ability affects air, ground enemies, and bosses, which is insanely strong. Laron is incredibly easy to evolve as you just have to continuously defeat the puppet portal, which are easy to defeat even if you are soloing the portal. Once you have obtained the mentioned units, you'll be able to get Laron pretty easily. The best trait you can have on Laron is unique as he is a 3 placement, and alternative traits you can have on him is Sniper, so he will be able to teleport back more enemies with his huge range. Laron's damage types are magic and light. Okay, next unit is Luffy Gear 4. Luffy is one of the best ground units to have, especially he is extremely cheap to max upgrade, and at later upgrades, he'll be able to hit both air and ground enemies. Luffy Gear 4 stats on max upgrade and max level are 205,719 damage with his SPA at 6.4 seconds, making his damage per second at 32,143.59, which is incredibly overpowered as you can place 4 of Luffy Gear 4. Luffy Gear 4 at later upgrades, he will be able to hit both air and ground enemies, which is insanely strong, although he is no longer a multi-hit at his last ability, so he will struggle against shield enemies. Luffy Gear 4 is incredibly easy to evolve as you just have to continuously defeat the puppet portal, which are easy to defeat even if you're soloing the portal. Once you have obtained the mentioned units, you'll be able to get Luffy Gear 4 pretty easily. The best trait you can have on Luffy Gear 4 is Divine as he has a 4 placement, although if you are going to be using Luffy Gear 4 in Infinity Castle, then the best trait you can have on him is Unique, which makes Luffy insanely strong for Infinity Castle on how cheap he is to max upgrade, and Luffy Gear 4's damage type is physical. Alright, next unit is Metal Knight Arsenal. Metal Knight is still one of the best heal units, especially he has an insane multi-hit and summons drones in this update 13.5. Metal Knight Arsenal stats on max upgrade and max level are 129,881 damage with his SPA at 6.1 seconds, making his damage per second at 21,291.96. Remember that Metal Knight Arsenal can only be placed down twice, making unique trait on this MK the best trait. The drones will deal half of Metal Knight's damage, and at later upgrades, Metal Knight will become a multi-hit, which makes him good against shield enemies. You'll be needing takedowns for Metal Knight to spawn his drones, and there is a tracker at the back on how many takedowns he got. To fully max upgrade one Metal Knight Arsenal will cost you 118,250 yen, and his damage type is magic, which makes Metal Knight a must-have for Magic Infinity Castle. An alternative unit you can go for is Fuji Admiral. Fujitora is the best physical heal unit and the strongest heal unit out there, especially with his 2-hit at placement, making him great against shield enemies and overall a good heal unit. Fuji Admiral stats and max upgrade and max level are 157,205.43 damage with his SPA at 11 seconds, making his damage per second at 14,291.4, which makes Fuji Admiral the best physical heal unit and overall the best heal unit out there, especially with how cheap he is to max upgrade with an insane damage, and one of the best shield breaker heal unit as he is a 2-hit at placement and will do multi-hit at later upgrades. If you're a pay to win player, then I definitely recommend getting unique trait on Fuji Admiral. Even though he is a 4 placement, Fuji Admiral having unique will still be worth it as his damage will still be one of the best, especially he's going to be a must-have unique for higher rooms in Infinity Castle. Fuji Admiral costs 66,500 yen to max upgrade, and his damage type is physical. Once you have obtained the mentioned units, you'll be able to get Fuji Admiral pretty easily. That's it for this video on the top 10 best starter mythic units in update 13.5. I hope this video helped you. Remember to subscribe and hit that like button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.